It's Thursday. It's May 4th. It's 2023. My son dressed as a Jedi today and went to school. The local school told him it was um, national May the 4th be with you day. But it worries me because it's still Star Wars. And I have whatever I have going on in real world. So I'm I saw Thor for the first time. Um and I'm just like, oh my God, there is so much. I don't want to unpack it. I mean, it's packed so tightly together in symbolism and gesture. I'm I I'm not rendered speechless. I just, again, in whatever I got going on. So I'm like, okay, so how do I approach the level of Thor with my whatever, and my realism in the surreal, and that with the God, no less, and the Red Cross, and then the green piece of like, wait, did that really happen? Because I don't know how to confirm that. Anyhow, um, so, and then I'm reading some local suggestion by the Queen's Library, and chapter 22. I mean, for anybody who knows the garden and the flowers of whatever, I'm like, here's how this one goes. Page 132 says hydrangeas, not orchids. I'm like, wait. Mm. And then on 138, oh, what a surprise in numerology. Um, Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold on that. But it does very well really say on 139, I'd rather eat a plant than stand another minute in the midst of so much arrogance. Those are not my words. However, I very really know that those were somebody else's words. Not that they wanted to live in certain gardens, but they definitely, again, men who like flowers. It's a thing. So, here we are at like my family symbol of Queens, and it says World Position of Tomorrow. Like, this was before I got here, but definitely in my parents' day and age. Another part of that silent generation. Um, and and this is in Captain America. I had to go into that closet for a minute just to get back to a family symbol that I know exists in my local. I've gone to visit, and then I've also seen in like, I mean, like I'm Island, like the Island, Island. It sure is land. Then there's like the Maryland, right? Yeah, Mary, she's got something going on, but it definitely looks familial of sorts, in clues in like, how do you I don't know. Um but this one references Captain America from the first Avenger 2011. Apparently Thor came out 2011 too, and I'm like, if I didn't know any better. And now they've got this show called the FBI Class of 109, Class of '09, and I'm like, Eric's there were a I had Eric's show up, multiple Eric's in, I think it was the Euro 9, just to be whatever and whatever. Um, so I'm gonna click over to Thor real quick because he's got this thing about the Rosen Bridge, and I'm like, oh, right, did they just, again, like, I don't want to be touchy subject on, is it like, is it a funnel, like, like a windstorm, like, just, we were curious, and I'm like, can't. I can't, because I know that that's how visually, like, if you don't know what you're talking about, that's how you think a Rosen Bridge should start logically. But again, when you've been involved in some portion of it and don't know how it happened, but know when you're inside the machine, you know exactly how it happened. It's I mean, what more is left to say? That's why there's so much inside his movie that I don't necessarily feel I need to unpack. I mean, it has been packed very tightly on his schedule, and it very really explains parts of mine. This is the only scene I'm going to mention in this particular one. Um, and it says, after his reckless actions. And then they use this word, reunite, reignite an ancient war, but it has the word rain in there. And again, that goes back to rainbows or Eisenbridge, like Rosenbridge. And then the Norse god is banished to earth. Um, Again, and then Moana referenced a gatekeeper, gate monster I had never heard of. Here they reference gate something or other, and I'm just like, um, what the hell was that? I don't know, sir. We got massive energy readings. And that is really it. Like, that's as graphic as the artist got, which I'm fine with, because whatever and whatever. And then the energy just disappears, and here's them trying to figure it out. What the hell was that? I don't know, sir. We got massive energy readings out of nowhere, and then they just disappeared. 15 miles due northwest. Let's go take a look. And again, so then I'm going back to the Spanish daughter. Because how many years ago did that happen? And then, like, more recently, I don't know, what year was it in human earthling time frame? That was like the 2015 event that I mentioned once or twice before. I mean, like, again, it has no, uh, it's stepping out of space and time. So how do you even, so anyhow, so it says here, it says, oh, right, that's about the flower. And then on here it says, I couldn't stand the thought of my life without him. It says, I just wanted to go after him or hibernate like a bear until it was all over and he would return. Yeah, I got the bear part in here, especially after that whole thing with the arrogance and so many, like, pieces of, like, going to visit the Clarks and then whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, arriving one day back at home with this, like, royal blue and white rugby shirt that was a boy's shirt. And I'm like, where did this come from? Linda had no idea where it came from. She didn't buy it. But just weird, mysterious things like that happening. Walking out and over to wherever and then coming back. And then here, just the disconnect with whatever the health. I today one of yesterday I met a woman. I entered her into the contacts, and then today I got a text. I think she texted me by accident, but it said something about luminary, and I'm like, oh boy. Like again, I don't really know in the locals, like, cause I'm real careful and I'm watching the headlines, and again, I watch it with reading between the lines. Um, Brady Bunch in football's doing something with James in the NFL territory today. Whatever that's about, I don't really know. But again, um, there's some things going on. And again, like I was just like the innocent young kid, and somebody came out with the game, pin the tail on the donkey. That I didn't start that, wasn't my trend. I know that that's a chaseable fact in this world. Someone at a keyboard's able to check to see, and I don't know who's trying to hide that from whomever else. And like, I'm reading between the lines and I'm looking for the numbers and the signs because, again, I got my own whatever and whatever, whatever, whatever. But like, I went to the eye doctor today locally, and I spoke with him. He was actually the medical director. Just to be clear, I think that's what his title was. I read it on one of his cards when I could still see, because I'm having changes in the vision along with some of the muscle weakness. Um, and I went over some of the obstacles that I had, and he asked about my schooling. I updated him fully on that. That should, whatever and whatever, whatever. And there was two of them in the room along with myself, just so he's covered. However that might work. And I explained, so he said something about um the viscosity, something to do with the oil, like again, something to do with the oil. So I said I was taking fish oil. I asked if that was a good thing or not, in his opinion, because again, the oil immersion in the eye, like that, whatever. Um, but also, I notice as far as healing goes, I mean, I can see I've got some kind of liver spots or whatever that I'm not happy about. I mean, they're not as pronounced as I feel that they are. But as far as the joints are still swollen and still painful. Sometimes they pop and crack, but there's this level of high amounts of amino acids, just free floaters. I don't know how to get them out. I don't know how to, I don't know, again, I'm just not sure how to balance it out. But what I did notice is with that day that I ran and then I bruised two of my toes, one on either foot. One was under the nail, not to get too graphic, but one was under the nail. The other side was on the exterior dermis covering. And it, yesterday, like, again, for people who know how it works, the dermal sheath, and how the cells stack up and then slough off. Yesterday, the epidermal the epidermal portion of where I was wounded on the exterior of the toe um, finally fluffed and was I was able to examine it um, in its entirety, and it lacks the it's almost like it's almost like a formaldehyde is like a it's like a drying out, um but from the inside out, and it's affecting the cellular regeneration and the cellular health of the body. And I don't know how to lower the amount of pneumonia. Like, I don't know if it's at intake. I don't know if it's respiratory, like I'm breathing it in. I don't know if it's something I'm exposed to in the exterior, like in the climate outside the house. I'm really not clear on any of it. I'm really struggling. I explained to the doctor tonight or today, when he dilated my eyes and he did a full comprehensive eye exam. Um, I'm just having trouble with connecting with the doctor. Like, I know there's things in my deteriorating health. I happen to know a little bit more than the rest, or than, like, say, my mom. And we were there at the same time, also, my mom and I. She was saying that the Apple whiteboard had these lines going through it, in two different colors. I did not have the same vision interruption. But as far as body mechanics, from a flower that generated another flower who then has seeds of or fruit in the field, I know generationally these are important things. Um, so in like health disruptions, um, and sharing a common space. And I didn't have these problems, necessarily, not to this degree, until I arrived here. Um, but the color of the damaged toe was like a deep, dark purple color. And it remained that way. I expected normal healing. I expected it to be absorbed. Like if a black and blue forms, one would expect to then see the breakdown and it turn yellow and green and then be reabsorbed through the natural process. That did not happen. The process was very different. It stayed dark purple. It's taken several weeks for it to have enough cellular undergrowth to get to the point where then it can fall off. Um, but it stayed deep purple. And so did the one that's underneath, that's under that bruise. When I bruised the toenail, it's just this purple that won't go away now. It's now no longer. And I mean, I'm running. I'm trying to sit with my feet up in order to help gravity. I mean, I'm having these microgravity changes on top of, but again, if my body chemistry is off, I'm not sure if it's an external to internal, or if it's a cellular, like specific to relative gravity of body chemistries. Like, I I'm not equipped to tell on my own, and I'm really struggling to find the right medical team in order to even address these issues with. But I know that it's not the normal black and blue process. It's this deep purple that has remained for weeks, and then almost not like a vitrification, but perhaps but more like a formaldehyde type of a process, where it's like suspended in the cells, and the cells don't go through a healing process. There's just normal growth underneath. So I know that that's incredibly crucial with whatever's going on environmentally, as far as like health checks and what needs to be reported, and what facility takes these kinds of, clues for medical detectives and for pharmacology and things. Um, It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies, broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.